Well, it's number 17 for 2017.
Yeah.
Actually, that's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
That's what I call a prime number.
Yeah. I hope we're not going to go to episode 18 in 2018.
Yeah, that's going to be a long delay. That's Duke Nukem style, that is, of the podcasting world.
Well, this is going to be one of those rarest things on the planet. Like it blooms every 1 year or something.
Yeah,
so
well, you know,
we have one. It's like Sherlock.
Yeah, maybe if we go with that, you know, we can like really like under promise and over deliver.
Exactly, and so we said no episodes, and we still deliver one episode per year. Is that under promise and over deliver?
I think it is. Yeah, do the maths. Yeah. No more listeners, anyway. But you know. It's
yeah.
All right. Should we actually start?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
So you've got something to pimp, haven't you?
Yeah, of course. So.
Oh, by the way, should we say who the fuck we are?
Exactly.
Happy New Year, everybody. Episode 17.
Yep.
Ray McDermott in Belgium.
And this is Vijay from the Netherlands.
Vijay, why the fuck don't you say your second name?
It's a secret.
It's not. I put it out there every time. Yeah.
Well, I have a middle name and a second name, and it's very confusing for people. So I really, you know, the Indian names, right? They're like really long, and well, mine is not that long, but I usually don't want to talk about the rest of my name. I think Vijay is enough, and even if I tell Vijay, people keep typing V and J instead of typing actually Vijay.
Really?
So
yeah, it's funny.
So
people. That's weird. I mean, I used to work with a guy. It's a nice guy called Harkun Wapit, which is, you know, one of these long Indian names.
Okay.
And you look like...
I'm pretty sure that's not how it sounds.
How does it sound? Harkun Wapit.
Can you say it again?
Harkun Wapit.
I have no idea what you're saying.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's probably why people mash these names. But anyway, he you know, Harkun Wapit. Okay, it's only like four syllables. But no fucker could pronounce it. Nobody. Yeah, I mean, actually, it's okay. I could do it, obviously badly, but people shortened it to Harkon, and that's okay. Yeah. But some people couldn't even go that far, and they would say Harry. It's like, it's not called fucking Harry. You know, it's an Indian guy. True. Stop giving him English names. You know?
Yeah.
It's a bad thing, actually. This is not really on topic, but fuck it. Okay, it's on topic for the fact that, you know, white people, you know, are terrible. So,
but I think that even I see that in other cultures as well. Like the Chinese people, they try to help us by giving anglicized names. So
yes.
They're like, oh, okay, maybe it's you know, them taking a pity on us. They're like, oh fuck, you can't pronounce this anywhere. Just use something that you can use. You know, I'm fine. Moving on. But that's very insulting for me. I mean, that's like it. Yeah. I really spend a long time asking them, am I pronouncing it right? And then it goes to a point like, please stop it. You know, you're butchering my name. Just use some English thing and then move on.
Yeah, but it's like when Indian people get my name wrong, I really crucify them for it. You know. I don't. It's okay.
But it's an easy. So actually, it's Rai, is it?
Rai, yeah. You know, the funny thing is, actually, it's the Belgian people don't get my second name. They just don't get it. It's like, because, you know, like Polish names have got all the Z's and the S's and they're all like squished together. Yeah. Well, according to Belgian people, my name is a bit like that as well, because it's McDermott. They've got no idea. It's a, how do you say that? They have no idea what to say. And it's always the confusion, you know, when I'm on the telephone to these guys. So it's really weird. But talking of like these weird names, I mean, my wife, her father was called Shiv Sankar, but he changed his name to John when he came to England. Why did he change his name to John? Well, because his brother was called, his brother had changed his name to Johnny. Yeah. So it's like Johnny and John.
John and John.
You know, no parents would call their kids Johnny and John, but they were brothers, Johnny and John. You know, and this was nice. This was not weird.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway,
should we talk about? We can cut that shit. I mean, you know, if you like, or we can leave it in, or whatever.
I think we should leave it in.
Okay. New Year's revolution.
So It is New Year, and I think things have been a bit quieter over the holidays, and we did have a very nice episode with Malcolm Sparks from Jext, and we also put the videos that we recorded, the interviews with prominent Clojure personalities on YouTube.
Yeah.
We have our own video channel, and we even have 3-digit views, so it's crazy. It's just super popular in the vegetarian Clojure podcast / interview
It's the ecosystem,
world.
mate. It's a multimedia ecosystem. The multimedia empire.
Yeah. I think we'll be just like Rupert Murdoch pretty soon.
Kill me now.
We'll be going into print and yeah. Anyway, so the videos are up, and I think of course the audio was also released in the podcast. So what is coming up? So what are we working on? So right now I'm working on Dutch Clojure Days along with 3 other guys, Carlo, Max, and Joost. The 4 of us, we organized Dutch Clojure Day last year, which has been super fun. And this year we are doing the same thing on March 25th. So
right.
The call for proposals is open, and I think we already have 10 proposals already. So it is going to be pretty fun. And we have a couple of sponsors, of course, Jext. As you know, Jext is sponsoring us, and at Goji from the Netherlands, they are also sponsoring us. And we are still looking for sponsors because it's a free event. We don't want to charge people. That has been because it's a by community and for community sort of thing. That is I think the activities for Dutch Clojure Day are going pretty strongly.
It's in Amsterdam, isn't it? I think
it's in Amsterdam.
It's in Amsterdam.
Yeah. It's in Amsterdam on March the 25th in 2017, of course.
Yeah.
So that's happening, and from I don't know the other side of the country, the country that nobody cares about. Is it Belgium again? Yeah. Okay.
It's a funny country. Well, we had a nice meetup before Christmas. I think we talked about it on the podcast as well. Alex Miller joined us via a webinar and talked about spec, and it was really good. It was the like I was saying before this show. Every Clojure programmer in Belgium was there. You know, they could have taken us all out. You know, one small hand grenade. You know.
I'll probably just convert them in one go to Scala, eliminating them, or that would be crazy.
Yeah, there was a few Clojure curios as well. But anyway, it was really nice. There was about like 25 people there, and which was great. I mean, you know, people really liked coming along to hear Alex talking about this new stuff. But we also had some interesting conversations afterwards, and I wanted to have a little bit of a chat with you on this, the sort of New Year episode. Let's think about what we can do in the new year for the community, you know. And one of the things that I was asking people was, you know, it's great to see, you know, 25 people at the meetup, because often we get like 5 or 10 people, and it's okay. It's in the middle of the week on a Wednesday in Brussels or whatever, and people aren't always going to drag their bottoms out just to talk about some junk. So the question is, how do we build that community up? You know, what do we do? And so I was asking for feedback from these guys. And they were saying things like, "Oh, you know, we can get a lot of this like talk stuff off the internet. Obviously, unpublished stuff they can't do, but they could get a lot of the stuff off the internet, spec and stuff. But they still came for the spec because it's new, I guess. But what people really wanted was to get like battle stories, you know, stories about real production systems where people were kind of recounting what worked and what didn't work, and how they managed to sell Clojure, or how they overcome, or how they didn't overcome. You know, how can they get some help to overcome the battle for Clojure? What have you found in the sort of
So
the Clojure
I've been
stuff?
running Clojure meetup also. I think it evolved into something like a functional programming meetup in Rotterdam that I've been running, and I think what you're saying is pretty much true. Like people come there to get the experience from other people. That's the whole idea. And they're not actually looking for, coming there and then sitting down and then listening to a talk, which probably they can watch it in their own time. What I'm trying to do with the meetup that we have, which is Functional Rotterdam, in Rotterdam, is have a mix of some sort of an interactive thing and a talk. The talks are about local people, so I don't invite any fancy people from different places. People working in Amsterdam, people working in Rotterdam, in the Netherlands, essentially, and giving them a stage. And sometimes what happens is that some of the people who are going to bigger conferences, they want to give a talk. They want to give the talk here to get some feedback. So that helps. And the main interactive thing for building the community is the coding dojo. I think the dojo is really a fun thing to do. That's what we've been doing for, I think, pretty long, and everybody enjoys it so far. And some people were asking me, hey, why don't we just do dojo? That's it for one of the meetups. So it's really fun.
Yeah.
So the format is pretty simple. Yeah.
I was just going to say what format does it take, but you're about to answer the question, so you're ahead. Yeah. Oh man,
I should
used to it.
We don't rehearse this shit. Nobody, everybody knows it. Anyway, the format is pretty interesting because the idea is that you pick some reasonable problem, and it's not about solving the problem, but it is about people trying out different things and talking to each other, and it's kind of chaotic, but that's why it becomes more fun. So my process or format is I open Reddit Daily Programmer subreddit, and there are like different small programming exercises or competitions, if you will, very small ones. And you have easy, intermediate, and hard. And then I read that loud, and then we pick one of the thing that looks like fun. And depending on the audience, I pick the language that is used by least amount of people to make everybody super uncomfortable. but that's where the fun comes out,
sadist in chief.
So we just ask, okay, who knows, I don't know, Clojure, and nobody raises their hand. Okay, we're going to do the dojo in Clojure today. So then we have this timer. So every 5 minutes.
So you always use Clojure then?
No,
basically.
I think a couple of times we tried like Haskell. We also tried Scala sometimes. It's pushing people a bit to get out of their comfort zone and have some fun.
Yeah.
And so you start with the problem, and then somebody gets up there on the stage and starts typing code for 5 minutes, and other people keep shouting at them. I think before the show you were saying, like it's a mob programming. So they're shouting and
mob programming. Yeah. Do you have like a projector or something?
Yes.
Or a big TV screen or something?
Exactly. Yeah. So we project the screen of my laptop, and then everybody goes to my laptop and then starts typing for 5 minutes, and then we tell them to leave, regardless of what state they're in. The timer is off, and then they need to move. And but this has been going on for I think almost 15 months so far, and most of the time we do coding dojos. So it's a very nice thing to try. I would really suggest it. And in one of the I think even one or two situations, we were actually doing the foreclosure exercises. So we open the foreclosure website, and then we just keep going through the things. Everybody gets one problem, and then they just stand up, try something out.
Yeah.
So it is something that you should try. That builds people to that builds a community in a sense that people interact with each other. That's what they come back for. So
right, yeah. Because that's the interesting part about that is people like to meet other people, don't they? And like you say, show off a little bit, but also you can show off in front of the computer or behind the computer, or if you're a bit shy, you still get your chance to get on the computer and show your skills. Even if you it's really good.
In the end, it's all about people. I mean, of course, the technologies, we don't expect them to learn like a language in half an hour. Somebody just telling them, introduction to Clojure, and then they go back and then they start, I don't know, shitting out code left and right. That's not going to happen. So, but it's mostly the conversations and having fun together that builds it up. So it has been fairly successful, I would say, because even Rotterdam is not that popular destination. So Rotterdam has a very small community of developers, but we are attracting, I think, double-digit numbers. So even going to 20, 30 people. So that's pretty good.
That's really good.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe I'll show up at one of those Belgian meetups, and you can try giving away waffles or something. I don't know what Belgians are popular for.
beer and waffles.
Exactly.
That's right. Yeah.
So you can say beer meetup, and then when they come in, they say, "Oh, sorry, we ran out of beer. There is closure."
Well, actually, getting people to sponsor us some beer is pretty easy. You know, it's not that expensive to get 20 bottles of beer in Belgium. It's no problem. Yeah. Even 40, you can go crazy.
Double it. Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, but that's quite a nice idea, actually. I mean, because we're trying to find a way out of these talks, and I think dojo sounds good.
Yeah,
mob programming sounds very interesting. I heard about it on this Functional Geekery podcast, and there was a guy there talking about it as a kind of he was saying it was interesting, like in the workplace. As a kind of option for getting people to build teams and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because, it's like pair programming, but with 10 people.
Yep.
And he says often, where he's worked, often people end up preferring that style of interaction.
Yeah, that's true. Because
it's
then
more democratic, in many ways.
Yeah, and also...
I guess some people get frustrated by this noise, and I don't think I could take it all day every day.
No way. I mean, no. You need peace and quiet to write quality code. This is just for fun. This is just for something that you can build together and have fun with it.
But I think like sharing new ideas or something.
Yeah.
If you try to introduce a new language or something like that, like these brown bag things, rather than going for the brown bag thing, maybe it's just go for like these mob programming things, just to show how 10 minutes, 15 minutes introductory stuff, and then, like you say, these
this could be really dojos. Fun. Yeah, but I think I should try it. I think that's an interesting idea. I'm gonna try it in my team tomorrow. Not tomorrow, but on Friday. We'll see what happens. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Dutch Closure Days, Belgian Closure Meetup, and Closure Conj videos are up. I haven't seen them yet, so we need to see what it is about. You watched?
I've seen a couple.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple. I think I talked about one last time.
Yeah.
There was I think the one that's like, let's say, obviously there's two. Excuse me. There's one important one, which is Rich's talk on how he eviscerates semantic versioning.
Yeah.
And sending shockwaves through the closure community as we speak. Well, everyone's like, oh shit, I'm never going to 1.0. Yeah. So it's going to be quite weird how Clojure's numbering scheme works from now on, I think, and how everyone's numbering scheme works, how it all settles down.
Yeah.
But so that's obviously the big one, like the think piece from Rich.
Yeah.
But there's obviously that's a meme that's been around the industry for quite a while. So it's not. I think it's good to hear his take on it, but it's not exactly a new bit of thinking, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not a kind of, not in a classic Rich vein of of totally novel thinking, but it's still good to hear it said in relation to things like spec and stuff like that. About how things should respect the contracts they're written to.
Yeah.
Or, and like he says, just change the name. This is fine. Things don't have to stay the same.
Yeah.
Which is good. But so there's that one. That's the big one. And then there's the other one, which I thought was quite big, was this new dynamic REPL that was introduced. And for the life of me, I can't remember what the hell the thing was called now. But God damn it! Yeah. I remembered last time. And
so,
I just saw
if you want
today.
to know what the thing is, please refer to our last episode.
Oh man, it'll come back to me in the next 10 minutes, and I'll just blurt it out. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a rebel.
Rebel. Okay.
Oh god, yeah. So that thing, and so the interesting thing about that REPL is that you can do kind of visual coding, a la Brett Victor, and if if people haven't heard of Brett Victor or haven't read anything about Brett Victor, then stop now, because nothing we say is interesting. Go and watch his videos and read his stuff, because that guy is a god, in my opinion. I mean, he really is a huge
smart
guy,
thinker,
a very smart guy. And he's made some groundbreaking stuff, that's for sure. And we're nowhere near. We are just beginning to catch up with the things that he demonstrated, 10 years ago, which is a bit like was it Alan Kay? Was always talking about people in in the 60s and the 50s. And
we keep rediscovering the same shit again and again.
We get it, But anyway, the nice thing about his stuff is that it does take us to a new kind of level on the tools. Now, obviously, you won't like it because it's visual. You're a fan of the text, obviously. So it's going to be weird for you. Maybe it'll just pass you by. But
I'll try to take a look, because I've been. I think just staying in Emacs is fine by me, but we'll see at some point. I need to try other things to see what other people are up to. But
well, I think this is all built on the stuff that we were talking about many times before, which is this this Atom editor, this Nucleus stuff, the stuff from GitHub, where they essentially put Node as an application on the desktop. So it's all based around that. So you can use, in your native editors, you can use all the HTML stuff and all the libraries and all the quills and all this kind of stuff. So it's really, that's what's making it interesting, I think, is this kind of, this tooling that you've suddenly got that's really in your editor. Because obviously with the browser, it doesn't know about your disks and stuff like that. You have to give it special permissions, whereas, anyway, this is all boring stuff. Okay. But there's that one, and then but there's plenty more to see for sure.
But so you started with your new job, right? So you've been doing closure stuff a lot. So is there something that what are you working on without revealing too much? Maybe risking your job.
Well, I definitely wouldn't be risking anything. It's no. Well, I'm working for a bank, so there's interesting problems, because working for an American bank, and the American banks are kind of what should we say? They're stuck in a lot of them anyway. Even the ones that are kind of like super adventurous. Well, I'm thinking about the adventurous ones like Capital One, who put a lot. These like guys speak at the conch and stuff like this. But those guys are just like every other American bank. They're just stuck in legacy land. It's mainframe-tastic. And it's the same in Europe, actually. You work at ING, don't you? Or you did at some point. I think they're all mainframes to hell.
Yeah, they are. But I think banking sector right now is trying to change to, I think, more technology-driven. So they're trying really hard. So it's interesting to see.
So that's really why I'm on board, is to think about, like, well, how can we rev their not just rev their platform, but rev their process and rev their architecture, and kind of skip past the last 20 years, because they've been essentially idling for 20 years. They've got Java in there, so woohoo, but mostly it's mostly just idling for 20 years. But I think they're feeling like all this mobile revolution, this whole what they call digital revolution, this online stuff is finally becoming a game changer for them. And all this API driven stuff as well is really important for them now. So they're it's quite a good gig for me, because it's like having it's not a green field, obviously, but it's a kind of like greenfield thinking, and then you can say, okay, well, how do I apply that back into this legacy land, and how do I bring that legacy land forward, respecting the kind of the information that people have given to the bank, because I don't really want to respect their infrastructure, because it's shit. But I do want to respect the thing that's important, and this is where Clojure plays really nicely, of course, is that what do we respect the most? And we respect data the most, So, and that clues us into the thinking. What do we really care about with this old systems. We don't really care about their business logic too much because we're going to rewrite that anyway, and we're going to, or we'll just throw it away and just do something tons better. Just a paradigm shift. So we can get some of these things off the shelf with services and stuff like that, but also we can just rewrite it,
but what
in a much cleaner way. So that's the interesting part. But then what we're trying to do, maybe you're going to ask me a question actually. So
So I was wondering what kind of libraries or exactly. So I get the big picture now, but is it like a it's a Clojure team of how many people? Is it just you and somebody?
No, it's not. It's not. It's not a Clojure team. I mean, I'm doing some Clojure.
Okay.
But we're doing. Okay, my job really is to be an architect there and to think about how we do continuous integration, continuous delivery.
Okay.
How do we set up like all of the structure that's necessary for like a polyglot environment actually. So I don't want to block everyone on Clojure or I want to say, okay, you can do Java, you can do JavaScript, you can do Ruby, Python, whatever you want, in fact, so this is interesting architecture, in fact, is which bits of this world are kind of critical, which bits are like absolutes, which bits should we keep a kind of watch on, and which bits which teams should have discretion about. And I think it's always an interesting tension, isn't it?
Yeah.
With architecture.
Yeah.
But we're trying to say, okay, well, look, we really want to keep it simple and have protocols, all the kind of stuff where you cross boundaries, where you're sending messages and putting, where your APIs are exposed. And we want standards around those things. But we don't really care, and Docker is helping us here, of course. What's actually in that box it doesn't really matter. You can use whatever editor you want. You can use whatever language you want. You can use whatever stack you want. You can use whatever database you want. The main thing is you have to be able to expose your data in a standard way, and you have to expose your documentation and expose your error messages and your log messages, and everything that comes out of that box has to be kind of standardized. But everything that's in that box can be as
whatever
as
like.
kind of.
So is it something like a uniform architecture API driven thing that you guys are building?
Say it again?
Yeah, so you're trying to build something like a uniform architectural guideline for all the services that you're going to build, or
I mean, what we're trying to do is we're trying to say, okay. I mean, it's easy to make these guidelines because that's just ivory tower thinking. So I'm not really interested in that. And, I don't think I would have been recruited if all I was doing was just toe-gaffing the shit out of this thing. It's just really boring. And I'm not interested in that. So what we're doing is we're saying, okay, we can make these guidelines and we can make these absolutes, but that's just bullet points on a sort of web page. What we want to do is make that real. So we want to put together some infrastructure on Amazon and make it all happen and make it all fly. So the Clojure things come in respect of like, well, so some of the code I'm writing is to do like integration with Kafka to prove that for event sourcing. The other bits are things like, well, we've got continuous integration engine, we've got a single sign-on engine, we've got GitHub, we've got these other things. How do we provision all of those things? Because what we don't want to do is just take one kind of like vendor provided all-in-one box for everything. That would be back to the bad old days. That's 20 years ago. People are still trying to sell this big time. Obviously. Especially to big companies. Because they say, you're a big company, you're a bank. Don't go to these best of breed things. You want everything integrated. Well, actually, pretty much everything can be integrated these days relatively easily.
I think
and we're proving that. Like one of the things that I'm doing now is essentially provisioning a whole bunch of infrastructure in Clojure, and so I'm provisioning users, provisioning repositories in GitHub, provisioning Circle CI plans, Heroku platforms, all these various things. So various bits and pieces across the architecture that I can provision, and I've written a Clojure program to do it. And I don't know, it's like 150 lines of code. Yeah, it's great. It's really just amazing, And I think when people see that kind of thing, hopefully they like it and they think, wow, this is good stuff.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's been 3 months for you already there, I think.
I think this is the third month. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So it's pretty good. Yeah. So I'm getting my feet under the table. In fact, I'm going over to the US. In a week or two. Okay. So
somehow this episode turned out to be interviewing you for some reason. Okay, that's interesting.
Whoa, baby!
Hey, we should re-edit the
leave it there. But what I wanted to talk to you about actually was not about my job. Forget that. You brought it up. Annoying. Okay.
Well, I mean,
we can cut this bit.
No, that's okay. I think this is
what I wanted to talk to you about actually was the kind of like because I've been programming in Clojure a bit. Of course, it kind of re-enlivens the excitement a little bit.
Yeah.
And you're kind of seeing the reality of some of these things. And like I say, you can write all this stuff that I know for a fact that I've written these APIs in Node and I've written these APIs in Java in the past, and now I've written them in Clojure. To the same kind of thing, and it's just so much more pleasant to write them in Clojure. It really is. It's hard to express really how much nicer it is because you can just do it directly. You have if you pick a decent client library, like they have this HTTP async client library. It's very nice. And then you can do all of these API calls without having specific SDKs for each of these things. So, for instance, if you look at Heroku, they have a special Node.js library to integrate their REST APIs. Why do they bother doing that?
I think it's just people are just lazy to I don't know. Just write HTTP directly. So.
Yeah, well, but I think what it is to me is that I don't know if it's laziness or it's just the fact that these languages don't have the expressive power that Clojure has. So it's more difficult they need to write these like library wrappers of the APIs to make it more comfortable for people to consume their APIs, because actually it's in certain languages and certain environments, it's more awkward to consume these APIs. I remember talking to this is a bit off topic actually, but I remember talking to a guy in Toyota who worked on the mainframe, and I was saying to him, what about like what mainframe HTTP libraries have you got? And it's like, oh yeah, well we have TCP/IP, and this is like 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay.
We've now got XML.
Cool.
It's like, what shit? So you've got TCP/IP and you've got XML. You're pretty much there. I mean, with a few months' work, you could have a basic curl implementation.
Anyway, I think it's been it is difficult to fight with legacy systems and then replace them. So good luck with that. I think. Well,
I think what we're looking for is a way to focus on the data. To be honest, I think that's the key thing. What I was going to talk to you about the Clojure aspect, though, was coming back to a thing we often talk about, but I was excited about it because I've just done some recently, so screw it, we'll talk about it. Was this library, and I was using like partial functions to wrap up some macros, and it was an interesting one because I complain about Node having a library and stuff like that, but I ended up writing my own library in Clojure I say my own library, it's like 30 lines of code, so this is not a library that I would ever
you should publish it on Clojures, and then it becomes a library, and then everybody starts pulling it and then cursing you.
Actually, the funny thing is it doesn't make any sense for anybody else because I just noticed I was like repeating the same thing. Not that much, in fairness. It's pretty dry, but I thought I can improve this a little bit. I can knock a few lines out here and a few bits of repetition out here and there. So I ended up writing this little partial function that took some arguments and made it smaller and all this kind of stuff. And that's not so exciting. What was interesting was just this thought that, what I wanted to talk to you about was, at what point do you just like, okay, screw the boilerplate. I'm going to write this little library, or I'm going to pull in a big library, or whatever. Or where do you VJ? Where do you kind of draw this line? Because I kind of drew it, and I thought, well, I'm not going to go for another library, but I will write 30 lines of code just to make it a bit drier and make it a bit more pleasant for me.
I think for me, it's all about the size of the code, I would say, because I mean, if I see the code, sometimes what happens is that some of the libraries, if you're using them and you need like a couple of functions maximum, and if it is really functional level thing, it makes sense that you can just grab that function and then just use it. But adding a new dependency, you're adding a lot of other crap to it. Like, every time you're building, it needs to go back to the closures and fetch the new thing and then see. And in the end, it's just, I don't know, 40, 50 lines of code, and nothing, we can take it to a level where we say, don't repeat, so keep getting stuff from somewhere else. But it becomes too much at some point, and also the maintenance of that library. I mean, we need to see whether that is active or not, and all kind of shit, and that is annoying. But I remember maybe we spoke about it some time ago. Like it is still kind of an annoying situation that the basic unit of sharing the code is still a jar file, which is super annoying. I mean, I think it was a blog post by Joe Armstrong, the airline guy. So he says that the basic unit should be a function, so I should be able to just pull the function from anywhere I want. So, but that means the function has no dependencies at all. So functional programming is much more suited to get the function level sharing instead of and especially with Clojure it should be even easier, because you don't have any that was the whole idea, right? Have like handful of data structures, but I have a bazillion functions working on them, rather than every library inventing their own data structure. So the line is right now, okay, it's a jar file that I need to pull in, and I'll take a look at the code, and I see if I understand the code, and if it is small enough from my point of view, I would say, screw it, I'm going to write it myself. I really don't want to get the whole another jar file into my thing, and then dependencies and all the crap, and especially it becomes horrible pretty soon, and you'll end up with a lot of libraries that are unmaintained or whatever. So that is the it's a difficult choice, but you need to see. And
on your topic there though, with the function stuff, I think the problem, I mean, because some people started doing that in Node, and they got a lot of shit actually.
The left pad or something.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, but that in itself was a different. That's a organizational discussion, but the concept of these small functions, I mean, they put it out. It's okay, I think.
I think it is okay, but
but like you say, as long as it's pure, how do you prove it's pure? Well, screw it. Should be like some spec, or no state is carried, all this kind of stuff. So it's the purity that's important.
Exactly.
And it's, I guess, spec helps with that kind of
stuff. Yeah.
Because we couldn't really prove that in the past, I guess. But the other thing is, you've then got the problem with it is, well, how do you discover these functions?
Yeah, that's true. I think that's
because you end up spending more time. You were just writing the damn thing.
Well, it has to be something like Perl guys did. Well, Perl is still. I mean, they're still sharing the modules, but the CPAN, the Comprehensive Perl Archive Network, the CPAN has all sorts of stuff in it, and there has to be a central namespacing authority or something where you can push your namespace and a function.
The question is, how do you get like the equivalent of Google for your functions? Because you're trying to like express your desire for a particular set of semantics or functionality, and that's actually difficult to express, isn't it?
That is true, but maybe it's as you said, specs might help. So every function comes with a spec, and I just type in something saying this is what I want and this is what the output. Then it can introspect the specs and then give you, these are the functions that match. But they do something similar with Haskell, right? I mean, with Haskell, you have this Google or something. So I can type the signature, and it will show me all the functions with the type signature available, so I can pick the appropriate function. So I can say, I have a list of something, and I have a another list of something and an individual type, and then give me a list of the second thing, something like that. I can just type the whole thing as a signature, and then it gives me which functions match this one. So maybe if everybody moves to spec and then they actually spec it properly, every function, then this might be possible. But again, it's more like because Clojure by nature is not enforcing it, so it might be tricky to do that. But who knows? I mean, people, we are very. I think developers our community has been very resourceful. So I think one day we might see that.
That could be really a really nice thing, actually. If you could, like you say, if you can do a search on specs based upon on like Clojures or whatever, or why not? Actually,
I remember somebody trying like that. Maybe I really need to look up the history.
Yeah, but like you say, it's the resources. The spec is the really like ground resource for this kind of thing.
Exactly.
Otherwise you're kind of, well, I don't know. Maybe it's just the difference between like Google indexing the web and like guessing everything. Which is hard work versus like this structured data type thing.
But I think somebody did that a long time ago. I don't remember. Well, it was not like fully complete yet, but you could type in, this is the input, like a map, and this is the output, this is the map. Then it will try to give you which function produces the output. So that was really fun to try. But that was basically executing all these functions. So that I don't think that I don't think that's the way you should go. But it is an interesting thing.
It's a fucking huge cache, though.
Exactly. Well, I'm pretty sure that
invalidating that cache is a problem.
No, I think it's
scanning GitHub entirely.
I'm pretty sure the code is basically memorize, whatever. I know, like.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so just listening to the webhooks on GitHub.
Yeah. So
all right.
When talking about experiments, shit. I mean, I think over the holidays I've been looking into a couple of projects, interesting projects in Clojure. Of course, the machine learning stuff. Maybe we should do some decent episode on Clojure machine learning, state of the art thing. But the other
what kind of stuff were you looking at?
Actually,
just a sneak preview on that one.
It's basically a small experimentation with the Clojure. I think it's called Clotex or something. A small library to do some machine learning stuff to play with Kaggle data sets. So that was fun, and because they have some classification sort of competitions. So if they give you all the ingredients, you need to guess which cuisine is it, for example. So those kind of problems. It's been fun. And the other one that caught my eye recently is that there is a Ethereum client called not a client, but Ethereum-based Ethereum. I don't know how to call it.
Yeah, Ethereum. Yeah,
it's the blockchain thingy.
The Bitcoin stuff.
Yeah,
blockchain.
Yeah. So there is a application called Status. That's a platform to build blockchain applications. So that looked pretty interesting because their front end is built using Clojure React. So, and it is open source. So I started digging into it a bit to see. Well, I haven't been into blockchain that much, but I'm gonna get started with this kind of thing. So those two are the things that caught my eye during, I don't know, quote unquote holiday period.
Right.
So it's been busy time. So I think that's what we've been working on, I think. And let's see what
Proto-REPL.
Yeah, that's what finally it came back to you.
Proto-REPL. It's there.
I think that there should be an episode where we just talk about stuff and forget their names, and then every now and then randomly shout something, and then just this is 10 minutes ago, and then
that can be let's do a theme.
Yeah. It's Proto-REPL. Okay. Cool stuff. Okay, I think that's pretty much it for this warm-up episode. But we're trying to get. Well, I'm trying to get more guests. There are a lot of interest in people to show up on Defen. So,
we'll definitely reach out. I think there's plenty of people out there that we've talked to in the past and that are interested in it. So hopefully we can do another few podcasts this year.
Yeah. I think we'll be good. I think this is the 17th episode on 2017. So I think we should be able to pull out more numbers before we get to 2018. I think.
I hope so.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, we're in our teenage years now. We're allowed to be a bit immature. We'll grow up into our sort of.
I don't think we'll ever grow up.
And 40s. We won't. No.
We'll keep the
forever young.
Exactly. We'll keep the podcast as immature as possible, so people can enjoy it properly. Anyway, maybe we should wrap up.
Yeah.
Okay, so in conclusion, episode number 17, beginning of the new year, we have some exciting episodes coming up, and Dutch Closure Days, which is very near and dear to 50% of the deaf and hosts.
100%.
Exactly.
100%.
Okay, we're all behind Dutch Closure Days, so if you haven't gotten the tickets yet, I'd really recommend going to closuredays.org. By the way, it's half full already, so half of the...
I've got my ticket.
Cool. Otherwise, I had to pull some strings to get you in. Otherwise it's going to be very difficult. It's
you've got to tweet us on the Deafened podcast.
Yeah. I will do that as well. So closuredays.org,
special treatment.
And we have the call for proposals open. So if you guys, whoever is listening to this podcast, if you're interested in sharing your closure knowledge, or it doesn't matter whether it is beginner, advanced, or intermediate, well, that's a weird order, but still.
It's a map. It's just come out that way.
Exactly. Or maybe you start learning something, you're beginner, and then suddenly you think, oh, fuck, I know everything. So you think you're advanced. And over the period, you realize, yeah, I don't know much. And then you get back to intermediate. So...
You should always be intermediate, basically.
I think so. But anyway, so if there is anything that you want to talk about, please see the website, and there is a call for proposals. Take a look at it, and we're going to have amazing time with Dutch Closure Days this time. It's going to happen during the tulip season, so you can enjoy Amsterdam. And if you're coming from different countries, it's a beautiful time to be in the Netherlands.
Definitely.
So that's pretty much it from me, I think.
Right. Yeah, me too, mate. I think we need to wrap up and then give these people a break.
Yeah.
Okay, wouldn't be nice for us to end without saying thanks to all the people that help us. So thanks very much to Pizzeri for the music. Thanks very much to Lubov for the design.
And also to Wouter for all the mixing and fixing all the glitches.
So we'll see you in episode number 18, hopefully with a guest.
Happy New Year. And, to you, VJ, and to any of the man and his dog that are listening. And let's keep it going.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Cheers, mate.
Bye-bye.
Bye.